An African-American woman body slammed for speeding. That's what happened. Austin police officers in hot water tonight for a violent arrest caught on their own dash cams. Take a look.
Man, take a seat back in the car, please. Take a seat back in your vehicle, please. Okay, man, we're being pulled over right now, so I need you to take a seat back in the car.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am, I'm not joking. Yes, this is your driver's license. All right, take a seat back in your car so we can close the door. Put your feet back in the car so I can close the door. Okay, ma'am, stand up for me, okay?
Okay. No, why are you touching me?
Stop resisting.
Oh, my God.
Stop resisting.
Oh, my God.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting right now. Get out of the car.
I'm getting out. Let me get out. Do not touch me. Do not touch me.
Get out of the car now.
Ow. Oh, my God.
Put your hands behind your back.
Oh, my God.
Put your hands behind your back. You are underwear. Put your hands behind your back.
God, why are you doing this to me?
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Put your hands behind your back.
Oh, my God.
I'm about to tase you.
Leave me alone. Are you
Put your hands behind your back right now.
Will you let me get down, please?
Get down.
I'm touching on the stop. Are you me? Oh, my God. Come to
Put your hands behind your back.
That's what I was doing. Are you serious? Go.
Don't stand up.
I'm not trying to stand up.
The woman in that video, Breon King, was charged with resisting arrest, but the county attorney dismissed her case after seeing that dash cam video. The officer, Brian Richter, was given counseling and additional training. No charges have been filed against him. Joining me, Yodit Tewolde, attorney, Mike Dow, clinical psychologist, author of The Brain Fog Fix, Randy Sutton, former lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and founder of Blue Lives Matter. Yodit, this officer has been on the job for a year since this tape. What do you think?
You know what? This is just, again, another situation where you have a police officer using excessive force in a situation that doesn't warrant it. Police officers are required to use the minimum amount of force necessary when dealing with suspects. This officer, through his actions, is basically saying he had no other options in dealing with this situation. They're trained to de-escalate situations, but we don't even see an escalation in this situation here. It's just another sad situation where I think he needs to be charged. Yes, he needs counseling, he needs training, but he needs to be charged with an assault because that's what happened here.
I thank God it wasn't ending tragically. Now, the officer's report says Breon King had a, quote, uncooperative attitude and resisted him by wrapping her arms around her steering wheel. So, Randy, how should the officer have dealt with this? And I'm sure you have issues with this as well.
I do have. The issue that I have with this is I think it could have been handled at the very beginning with a much more de-escalative kind of action. Now, that being said, the officer was very polite at first. He asked her to get back into the car, and the reason he did that is because he wanted to control her movement. When a police officer, I mean, let's go right from the beginning. Was it legitimate to stop her? The answer is yes, she was speeding. Was it legitimate to ask for a driver's license registration, et cetera, and so forth? Yes. He asked her to step back in the car. Did she? No, she didn't. How many times did he ask her? 3 or 4 times. At that point, he said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to arrest her. Now, would everybody have done that? No, probably not. But once he made the decision to arrest her, and then he asked her to get out of the car, she wouldn't. Well, he's got to get her out of the car. So she clearly did resist arrest. There's absolutely no doubt about that. You could see that in the tape. Now, could it have been handled at the outset a little better? I believe it could have. But the fact of the matter is, she did, in fact, resist arrest.
Listen, I'm not a police officer. I'm watching this tape. It looks like way too much force. So what goes on in an officer's head? When he's I want to be sympathetic to what the officer is experiencing. Is he afraid? Does he think this woman's going to pull a gun? I mean, what's going on in his head?
Well, when he asked her to comply, she didn't comply. At some point, he's got to say, look.
That's not what I mean.
That's one thing. So, hey, you're resisting my authority. I'll show you. That shouldn't be the police officer's point of view, should it?
She was complying, sir. She was complying.
Well, but let's say she wasn't. His thing should be, I got to solve this situation, not assert my authority, right?
look, that's why I'm saying he could have de-escalated it much greater at the outset of the traffic stop. At which point, remember, he did ask her to get back in her car, and the reason he did that was for officer safety reasons, because to control her movement. That's that's standard practice.
I get it.
Okay. Otherwise, he would have had to, if she's out of the car. If she's out of the car, then he's got to pat her down to make sure she doesn't have any weapons, and then he's going to look like an idiot for doing that. Okay. So he told her to get back in the car. Well, how many times do you have to tell somebody?
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. Mike, help me out here. Mike, hold on, Yodit. Hold on, Mike.
I just don't buy that. You know, yes, did he ask her to get out of the car? Absolutely. But, man, that police officer went from 0 to 100. And when you look at the violence, when you look at the kind of trauma, you know, he went to counseling. Now she's probably going to be diagnosed with PTSD. She could have years of therapy ahead of her after that kind of violence. And you have to really look at, you know, yes, was she a little bit irritated when she said, you know, can you hurry up? She was probably a little bit nervous. She was probably a little bit, we all get in a bad mood when we get pulled over, if you've ever been pulled over. But does it warrant that kind of violence? I don't think there's any reason.
And let me add a little wrinkle to all this. Under state civil service law, the police chief cannot take disciplinary action against the officer for this incident because it had happened more than 6 months ago. The police chief did issue a public apology. Take a look at this.
I'm sorry that on the day that you were stopped for going 15 miles per hour, you were approached in a manner and treated in a manner that is not consistent with the expectations of this police chief, of most of the officers of this police department, and most importantly, I think, of all of us as human beings.
All right, so to me that seems like a sensible sort of apology. Now the woman, the victim, Breon King, says she did not file the complaint at the time because she was embarrassed and did not know that a complaint was an option. Now, Mike, my question to you is, you said she might have PTSD. I know the officer isn't going to understand this, but I'm going to predict she apparently reported that she doesn't even remember what happened. I wonder if she was totally dissociated. Maybe she's already a PTSD person, and the attack just triggered her into an out-of-body state where she blacked out and really doesn't know what the hell was going on. And, of course, that will trigger more PTSD symptoms.
Absolutely. And, you know, that also may explain her initial reaction as well.
Exactly.
If she doesn't remember what happened, this is going to be a case where she is going to probably need possibly years of very expensive treatment. Some of the symptoms of PTSD are very distressing. You know, we see these symptoms and all of the problems, how they're linked to depression, anxiety, even substance abuse, because you can't sleep. You're getting these flashbacks. They're extremely traumatic for people.
Yeah, and again, when somebody resists irrationally like that, you've got to think there's some irrational source, and I would imagine something had happened to her maybe, and that's what's triggering her, and then she reports she didn't take didn't report anything because she didn't really, she was out of body, she described it as. Next up, the situation took another shocking turn after police put her in a patrol car. We have that video. And later, why would a grown man look up a woman's skirt? Well, in Georgia, it's because he can. Back after this.